welcome to the Why We See Movies podcast. I'm your host, Ron Houghton. Joining me, as always, is Derek.
Good day.
And Paul.
Yo.
Today we're going to be doing a special bonus episode where we discuss last night's 89th annual Oscar telecast. But before we get to the show, we have some sad news to get to. And I'm of course talking about the tragic death of Bill Paxton, who died after complications of heart surgery. He was only 61. That's a big loss.
And a huge shock. Like such, again, a very prolific artist that's in a ton of movies that he's in so many movies you almost forget how many movies he's in. Mm-hmm. Like little throwaway performances like he's a punk in the very first Terminator movie that, you know, if you blink, you'll miss him. And then, of course, bigger roles like in Aliens and
all the James Cameron stuff, for the most part, they're really close.
Yeah. And then, of course, he's got that new series Training Day out right now, too. It's not on my radar, but, I mean, still very active up until his end of days, so to speak.
Yeah, he disappeared from the scene for a little while because he was shooting that Big Love for HBO.
He's done a lot of TV in recent years.
Yeah, he did that for almost 10 years, I think. He took off for that show. But then he came back kind of in a big way in the last few years. He was in Edge of Tomorrow with Tom Cruise. He was good in that.
Yeah.
He was really good in that Jake Gyllenhaal movie, Nightcrawler.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Yeah.
But,
Oh, Paul, you gotta get on it. It's good. Of course, Aliens goes without saying, but for my money, maybe A Simple Plan is my favorite. Bill Paxton.
For sure.
That movie.
For
Incredible movie.
Yeah, Sam Raimi's best film.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, a good friend of mine had heart surgery recently, and he was told there's a 1 in 300 chance of, complications not coming out of it. And I guess, unfortunately, Bill was the 1 in 300.
Well, and by all accounts, a really genuinely nice guy, too. Like, he was here at the Calgary Expo a few years ago, and he even closed out the weekend and said, game over, man! Game over! The con's over, man! He just doesn't take himself seriously.
For sure. Yeah, he was great. Yeah, the one time that I didn't meet him, exactly that. He's couldn't be more down to earth and just a really kind of sweet guy.
It's unfortunate. Very unfortunate.
When I hate it when you click on a story. I'm always clicking on all the entertainment news, right? And I saw his picture. And it's like in the back of my head, it's like, Bill Paxton's must be in a new movie, must be, because there's no way. And you scroll down and you're like, fuck.
Yeah, so far 2017 hasn't been much kinder than 2016 was.
Definitely not. No. Yeah, that was this. Yeah, he was awesome. Like, really, he's a guy I grew up with watching. Like, he seemed to be in all my favorite movies as a kid.
Yeah.
So, big loss there. Okay, to the Academy Awards.
What are we going to say about last night's broadcast? Is there much to talk about?
Well, it was a pretty lackluster show, all in all. Like, pretty routine by the numbers.
I was fairly entertained. I mean...
Or are we going to leave the 600-pound girl in the room to the end?
Did you see the show, Paul?
You could start off with that, obviously, but...
No, I thought we'd lead into that.
Yeah. We'll save that, sure.
We'll save that for later. Yeah, what do we think of the Academy Awards in general? I am a huge fan of the Oscars. I've been watching them since I was a kid. I'm probably the only person in the world who has VHS tapes of the Oscars going back to 88.
It's your Super Bowl.
It really is. I'm not big on award shows in general, but the Oscars is a different thing for me. It's
Me too. It's the only one I watch year after year. And I used to put a lot more weight on it than I do today. I used to really be into, following up on who's the favorite.
I used to get up at 6 a.m. and watch the nominations live.
Wow. I did that a few times too. Not many times, but a couple times. And now it's the only awards show I still watch, and it's fun, but I don't take it seriously at all. And it's more just a night to celebrate my love of movies than anything really significant.
The one good thing that they can do is take obscure films that a lot of people haven't seen.
And for me, I think that's what it is. Much like you, I used to hold a little more stock in the winners and whatnot, but it's the only award show that I will go out of my way to watch. I think I've only missed it once or twice in the past couple of years, and that was out of the country or whatever. So
it's also nice to see certain individuals get recognition for their work over the years, for sure. I think the whole world celebrated DiCaprio's win last year. Yeah. That was long overdue.
Much to what you were saying, I look at it as an exposure to movies that maybe I haven't heard of and treat it like that, like almost like a library to look at and see what else is out there that I haven't seen or heard of.
The very first book I ever got, movie book, was an Academy Awards book when I was 15 or 16. Yeah, the Oscars were always tied in with my love of movies.
It's interesting to see the old footage and kind of the way things were treated in yesteryear. You see the black and white footage of legends getting their Oscars and the pomp and circumstance that it's treated with these days. That it's interesting how much that's changed too.
And Hollywood, year after year, loves to congratulate itself more than anything else. And so I think that's part of that increase in pomp and circumstance. Just let the world know how important we are here in Hollywood.
Much like a couple of years ago when Billy Crystal opened up that line when times were tough. And he said, nothing like tuning in and watching a bunch of millionaires give each other gold statues. He's got quite the wit, that man.
Okay, shall we get to last night's show?
Let's do it.
What did we think of the opener? Justin Timberlake started off the show with a bang. I didn't know that the song was from the movie Trolls until I looked it up today. So
I knew he had written a song for Trolls, and so I just assumed so. But
I thought it worked. I thought it gave a lot of energy to the room and got everybody
a good lead-in.
Nice, motivated for the show. I thought, a good lead-in for Jimmy Kimmel. I actually think it's a good idea to start the Oscar show with one of the best songs. Get it over with. Don't really look forward to.
Yeah, either if I'm watching the show live, I'll kind of tune out during the songs, or as I have the last 2 years, recorded it and watched it an hour or so after it begins. I'll just fast forward through the songs anyway. So yeah, get one out of the way earlier. It's really the only one I listened to, and I wasn't a huge fan of it. It seems like a big popular song that people like, but it did start off the show nicely.
To me, it was a summer song because that's when it was originally released. And until
you guys had heard the song before?
Oh yeah,
I've not.
I liked it as far as just being a catchy tune. Like I said, it was out in the summer, so I kind of associate it with that. And then I heard it was nominated for an Academy Award, and I thought, well, I don't see that winning because it just seems a little too fluffy. There's not enough weight to it. There's not enough meaning behind it other than it being a catchy song used in an animated movie.
Yeah, it was a good lead-in for Jimmy Kimmel. So what did we think of him as host? His first time.
I thought it was pretty good.
Me too.
Yeah,
I thought he kept it moving really well. Introduced some fun elements to it.
He seemed more relaxed and comfortable than many previous hosts. We've really had a slog of some terrible hosts.
Yeah, he was
throughout the years, and he seemed right at home.
It's a good interpretation of what he did. He was very relaxed, and I guess he's used to performing in front of an audience every night, not hundreds of millions of people, but he kept things going nicely. It's pretty funny. And
I wouldn't be surprised if he's asked back.
Yeah, for sure.
Even after claiming that he destroyed the show.
Which, that was not on him.
No, and it was nice for him to be modest about it anyway.
Fall on the sword.
I thought his opening monologue was really good. I thought it was pretty much all hits. I don't think he really had any clankers.
No, I had agree.
Yeah, from Meryl Streep, I thought that was really fun.
That was nice.
That was awesome.
And, of course, we got the first hints of the ongoing rivalry he's going to be having with Matt Damon throughout the night.
Which is carried on through his
Of course,
late night
right.
show,
And everybody knows that. So, of course, they were going to have that. I wasn't sure to what degree they were going to have it and make it like an all-night running gag.
I've heard some people complain that it's been done to death. And it is. It's a 10 or 15-year-old gag, but I thought every time they used it last night was hilarious.
Me too.
It worked so well.
I think they're just so naturally funny with each other.
It might be an old gag, but who cares? It was really funny.
It worked. It absolutely worked. Every time they brought it in, it just added that little moment of levity right when it needed it, I thought. And
to the whole duos, to the build-up at the end with, was it We Bought a Zoo? Right.
Yeah. That was really good.
That was great.
Yeah. Well, and that's what I really liked is he played on the elements of the Oscars, not just bringing his own shtick and kind of forcing it in there. He really played on a lot of the things within the Oscars. Like a lot of the presenters had their inspiration, so he played on that. And then just even using something as simple as the playoff music for when people's speeches get a little long and Matt Damon's up there talking and it plays every time he opens his mouth.
And then you see Jimmy in the orchestra pit.
Yeah. So I thought that worked really well.
Yeah, and some of the things he incorporated from a show I thought were pretty good. The Mean Tweet segment was pretty funny.
Yeah.
And what did we think of the tour bus?
I liked it. It went on too long for sure, but it was a fun element and kind of interesting scene.
I wasn't tired of it. I thought it was just about perfect. It's. I wish they would have even talked to a few more of the people behind there because there might have been more interesting people.
It could have been coordinated better for sure.
Right.
But for what we had, it was just fun watching these regular folk just interacting with these giant celebrities.
And it was fun watching the celebrities kind of react too, because at first, I don't know, there almost seemed like an air of apprehension, kind of like, you're doing what?
Yeah, they didn't know quite what. Well, how are we supposed to take this ourselves?
Right. And then the first guy comes in and starts kissing all the women's hands.
And then tries to take didn't try to take the Oscar with him, but it's like, touch the Oscar. And he like yanks
it up, gives his phone to
Mahershala,
thank you. Right.
Mahershala Ali, Cottonmouth from Luke Cage.
Yeah, I thought that was really cute. It's ever since Ellen kind of ordered the pizza, each host has been topping each other on what we can do on the floor. Yeah. And I thought this one worked pretty well. Yeah. I can't remember what they've tried in recent years that didn't But
the Ellen one stands out the most, and that one was a little hit and miss.
But like I said, it was nice to see the stars' reaction too. Like, I thought it was really genuine to see Ryan Gosling actually gave the first guy his swag pack, and I thought, wow, like that's really nice.
That's so Canadian.
Well, yeah, I thought that too.
Plus, it was just a Twizzler swag pack, not exactly the $150,000 swag pack.
Fair enough.
Yeah, the candy drops were kind of neat too.
Yeah, well, and even seeing the candy drop from the ceiling, it looked like kids in candy stores. Like, a lot of the stars were looking up.
They were excited to get it.
Exactly.
It was fun to see that.
So
they are human too.
Yeah, exactly.
I think they love all free shit. The stars, they're just so...
Yeah, very much so. I think they just assume things are going to fall from the sky and land in their laps anyway. So
that's right. After Meryl Streep's big speech and with the Donald Trump presidency as it is, everybody was thinking, it's going to be a very political Oscars. Not very.
Here and
there was a number of good digs towards Trump and his policies, but it was
pretty minor.
It wasn't overly politicized.
No Michael Moore being carried off the stage type.
I wouldn't have minded if there was more. I like a good bout of controversy, but
Gail Garcia Bernal had a few things to say.
The
woman, the Iranian director who won,
and she was representing the director, and he was
pulling a Sashi and Littlefeather.
Exactly, like she was there in absentia of the director because he was taking a stand, which I respect that. I mean, especially something like that where you can tell it means a lot to that person, and they're willing to make that personal sacrifice. Obviously, he doesn't know whether he's going to win or not, but still.
Oh, the one political thing was your White Helmets.
Yes.
Did win for Best Short, and I watched it a few days ago.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, I thought, there's a good chance of it winning. So, it was very powerful.
Not surprised. I've not watched it yet, but as soon as they called it up again and during the nominees, and I saw a couple clips, I'm like, my money's still on this to take home an award tonight.
Yeah, you called it, and I wasn't surprised to see it win either. There was a couple other nominees in that category that maybe could have, because again, that kind of serious tone that you figure, that's gonna carry a little bit more weight. But I was thrilled to see it win because it's phenomenal. I loved it. Yeah,
it's very powerful. And it's funny. Do you know what movie it reminded me of that I just saw recently? Hacksaw Ridge.
Really?
Yeah, because they're both about people running into war situations, saving people
without any thought of their own safety.
Exactly.
Well, like I said, there's those moments. I said it last podcast, so I'm not going to go too much into depth, but just they're having their moments of peace throughout the day, and instantly they're taken out of it.
Oh, like firemen.
Absolutely.
The bell is rung and they're down the pole and off to the explosion.
Well, and I appreciate that it puts a face to, like, there's all the news about Syrian refugees and whether countries should let them in. It's nice to see something that humanizes, puts a face to.
These are the best people you'll see in a documentary all year. I mean, try to find me more honorable people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. What else? Oh, I did enjoy that. I know you're not a big fan of montages, Darren, but they had a nice one.
No,
that was kind of.
I like a good montage.
Do you? Yeah, I remember you being really tired of them at one point. You're like, if I see another fucking montage to open the Oscars, I'm going.
It depends. Sometimes, Sometimes they're all the same. Is the thing.
Right.
So you got the obligatory Citizen Kane, and then the North by Northwest, and then the ET flying past the moon, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
I think they were all made by the same man at that time, though.
Probably
Chuck Workman, and he repeated a lot of shots and his stuff. But last night had a very interesting one. It had one from a foreign perspective. I thought was really good. It's a global market right now. So
it's interesting to see what sticks outside the borders of the country too, right? Like, just because a movie may resonate well within the population of that country, what actually sticks outside? Like the fact that one of the people said that, when they think of American movie, they think of E.T. and you think.
I thought that was interesting. Yeah. And of course, 2 kids picked Suicide Squad. So
of course.
Not all their taste is good.
And unfortunately, that now can boast being an Oscar winner.
Yes. Yeah, that was sad to see that the DC movies have their first Oscar and Marvel hasn't.
Which really makes us sound like haters.
I
thought it deserved it.
That's fine. I'm more mad that Doctor Strange got robbed for visual effects, in my opinion.
Yes.
The award went to The Jungle Book, it's really just a CGI movie, in my opinion. While Doctor Strange was doing something with visual effects on a practical level that no other movie has ever done, right, and that we hadn't seen before. Not only just effects, how well they were done, but someone had to think about how they would be done and what they would look like. And we all know what a forest looks like and what bears in the Jungle Book should have been, and they did a really good job with it. Actually, I thought there was times in the Jungle Book I thought the CG was weak.
I would disagree with you there. I thought it was top notch all the way through.
Really?
I really enjoyed it.
Well, would you agree with at least the Doctor Strange?
Oh yeah,
Like,
I mean,
What
I
would
could
you-
see
what would
why
you have given the award.
I
to?
can see why the Jungle Book won. I wouldn't take that away from it. However, like you said, I'm in agreement on Doctor Strange, is that it took the next step in a level of imagination and applying CG to a movie that, yeah, we know what the jungle and the animals look like, but this is something
You have to create
completely
it out of
different,
the
a whole new thing that,
Yeah.
probably should have been awarded.
Mhm.
a little more on the creative side where, you're pulling something out of the ether. Nobody knows what this looks like, so you tell us what this looks like.
Yeah,
Exactly. I was shocked. I thought it was one of my locks for the night. So
I was a little surprised Jungle Book won, but like Darren, I don't think it won without merit. Yeah, I thought it looked great. I thought they did a really good job of adding personality into the animals and whatnot. But was it the one that I wanted to win? No, but it doesn't upset me that it did.
yeah, I was disappointed with that, but oh well. Marvel's winning in every other way. The Memoriam segment. They always miss a few every Memoriam.
you can't pack them all in.
Alan Rickman wasn't in it, and I was like, hey,
But
what's
that
going
was
on?
last year's
Yeah,
Oscar.
right. And then I was like, yeah,
'Cause
they
I had-
managed to sneak him in last year.
Yeah.
I had the same reaction, and then my wife was like, "No, that was last year," and I was thinking more calendar year, not Oscar
They,
year.
they
I'm like,
usually do
"No."
the calendar year, but then in the months of January and February, if there's a biggie like Carrie
Like-
Fisher and Debbie
or John
Reynolds or John Hurt,
Who
they
made
fit
the
them in.
list, right?
Yeah.
I forgot about many of the. I didn't remember that Bill Nunn died. I didn't remember that Curtis Hanson died, and
Curtis Hanson, George Kennedy.
yeah, I didn't remember any of those from the past year.
This
I-
great Iranian director named Abbas Kiarostami
Mhm.
died. When I saw his face come up, I was like very sad. He was really on a roll, and his films are really special. So,
There was a few not that she didn't live a long life, but I don't recall hearing that Nancy Reagan passed away.
mhm.
Yeah, there was a few there's always a few that, because they typically happen earlier in the
I
year.
had forgotten that she was an actress.
Yeah, me too, because you
Yeah.
always think of Ronnie being the actor. But
Mhm.
yeah, of course, they met in Hollywood, didn't they?
Right, he was originally married to an actress named Jane Wyman, so I guess he met Nancy and caught her on the rebound or something. But I think she was in her late 90s. She's really hanging in there when you think that how long it's been since Reagan died.
Yeah.
So anyways, one person that I was surprised not to see, who was a big favorite of mine, was Gary Shandling. That was a
Yeah.
big,
Oh, yeah.
big omission.
Absolutely. That's
Mhm.
huge.
Yeah. And there's this Australian woman named Janice Patterson. She was a costume designer.
Yeah.
She passed away. Unfortunately, they used a woman named Jan Chapman's picture next to her, who was a producer friend of hers. So when Jan Chapman was watching the Oscars and saw her face come up during the Memoriam segment next to her, the name of a friend of hers, she was a little pissed.
It's a little bit of a gaffe there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not the biggest one of the night,
That's
though.
just, that was just foreshadow. Back to the songs. What did we think of the songs for the most part? Paul, you raved about Moana and how much you liked the movie and you thought the songs worked. I found that song excruciating to sit through. Is that what it sounded like in the movie?
I think it might work if you know the context of the song, maybe. I think maybe I'm a little guilty of comparing that to something like Let It Go, which I just really wish people would let go, where I thought it was a good song. I don't know. I liked it. I wouldn't say it was necessarily the best song out of the bunch, but I'd say it was better than the Justin Timberlake song. But
Really? What did you think, Darren?
It didn't
What?
remain in my memory at all, really.
Mhm.
I'll have to see the movie Moana and see how the songs work in context. But just that snippet last night, which is, they were abbreviated versions of the songs from what they usually do. They seem pretty short.
Thank God.
And yeah, I agree. But no, it didn't strike a chord with me at all.
Wasn't as good as any song from Sing Street. I'll tell you that.
which I haven't seen yet. It was
Oh,
it was
really?
nice to see Sting actually on
Mhm.
there. And,
Yeah.
you know,
That was
you
the
get-
best song of the night, in my
And I
opinion.
agree. Yeah.
Mhm.
I actually kind of thought that would win, but
La La Land has
hard
all
to
the
beat
love.
La La Land.
Yeah. Yeah, what did you think of the songs from La La Land?
You can't top the production values of the movie itself, and those songs come across pretty spectacularly in the movie. I think I said at the time when I gave my rave for the film that it was, strong songs, but not particularly memorable. And I still feel the same way catching the snippets of them last night. They're good, and I can see why people are loving this movie. But the songs themselves, they also don't have a huge impact on me.
For a musical that everybody's falling in love with, you would think that would be essential.
Well, I haven't fallen in love with the movie either, I guess. I like it, but I don't love it.
Right. Okay. Shall we get to some of the big awards of the night?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Any big surprises? Were you guys rooting for anybody in particular? Or did something piss
Like
you
I say,
off?
my cynical attitude towards the importance of the Oscars makes me not really root for too many people anymore. I guess there's always a few favorites nominated that I wouldn't mind seeing win, but I pay so little attention anymore that I'll read the nominees and kind of forget about it until I actually watch the award show. So yeah, I wasn't invested really in any of the categories myself.
Yeah, I was rooting for Casey Affleck for Manchester by the Sea.
I haven't watched it yet.
I was very happy he won. Yeah, it's quite a performance.
It looked like it from the clips.
And it sounded like a lot of people were really rooting for him. Like, we watched a little bit of the red carpet, and they did an interview with him beforehand. And even as he was leaving the interview, we're saying, yeah, we're really rooting for you. And it didn't seem like just dismissive, like she would have said that to anybody. She was actually like embracing him and hand on the shoulder, and we're really rooting for you. So, yeah. I haven't seen the performance yet, but yeah, like from the clips I've seen it, I've been a fan of his and things I've seen in the past anyways, like even stuff as long ago as
he's the best
Good Will
actor
Hunting.
of the Affleck brothers, for sure.
Like, one of my absolute favorite movies is Good Will Hunting, and that's probably the first thing I remember seeing him in.
I don't think he was in anything before that.
He was very memorable in that.
Absolutely.
Even just playing the kid brother, that it stuck with me, and I've kind of rooted for him ever since then.
Yeah, he's Gone Baby Gone.
Yeah,
fantastic.
Love that movie.
Another fantastic performance.
Yeah.
And The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Which I haven't seen yet.
Really?
Yes.
He is
I've
so
wanted
good
to,
in
but
that.
I haven't seen it yet.
I think he was nominated for that. That was his first nomination.
Really?
And yeah, he could have won that year easily. He's fantastic in that movie. It's a great looking film too.
Yeah.
You like that movie, right?
The movie is not deserving of the performances and cinematography it got, I think. I don't know if I could give it a thumbs up.
That's the reason to watch it.
Is that enough? It's such a long,
It is
boring
a
movie.
beautiful movie, and it's not boring. It's just slow.
I found it dull. I found it pretty dull. Yeah.
Okay, we'll fight about that after the show. Okay, what about Best Actress? Did you think Emma Stone deserved to win? I haven't seen La La Land. I was supposed to see it this week. I've been under the weather and been laid up, but
she's pretty great in it, undoubtedly.
What do you think she won for? Was it the combination of the dancing, the singing, the performance? Was it something particular?
I'd say the combination. It's not an easy thing to do, all of that, and to accomplish it so well. I'd say, and people love Emma Stone as well.
She is a talent, for sure.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if this is first of 2 or 3 Oscars in her career.
And that's actually one thing that I really liked about her acceptance speech is it was very humble, where she said she still had so much learning to do to perfect her craft. I really admire hearing stuff like that, whether it's a bunch of hot air or not. From her, it seems genuine.
It seemed genuine, yeah, and she seemed to be pretty amazed to have won. I mean, I'm sure she knew the hype and that she was favored to win, but to have won in that company.
Absolutely, right?
I think it took her breath away, literally, and she was not putting on airs up there. And she seems like Ryan Gosling, like a genuinely nice person. And
So this is the second year that the Academy has awarded Best Actress to a relatively young performer, with Brie Larson winning last year. That's 2 women under their 30s.
Yeah, so many of the acting awards go to people being awarded for their career as opposed to that particular performance. And it seems like these were 2 performances in Brie Larson last year and Emma Stone this year that really did deserve it for those performances.
I wasn't totally stunned by Brie Larson's performance in Room.
Yeah.
I thought it was a really good film, but I didn't think it was...
You always wonder what's going on behind the scenes. In our younger days, we maybe held a little bit more stock in who won what. And I was a little naive in that manner, like, oh, well, so-and-so won it because that was the best performance. And then you hear, well, no, Denzel Washington should have won 2 years before, but they gave it to so-and-so, so giving him the Oscar for...
They're making up for that error, and he's getting it this year.
Exactly.
And it's the politics of the Academy.
Right. And kind of when you start hearing the whispers of that, it takes all the merit and kind of weight out of, okay, well, why are they winning then? Like, are they winning because it was a great performance, or what's the underlying reason?
I've never counted on the Academy to be perfect.
No.
Really.
No.
When Goodfellas lost to Dances with Wolves, I knew that was a mistake. That's part of the fun for me, is which one they're going to kind of royally screw up every year.
You never know what's going to happen.
Right. If the Academy was perfect, you couldn't go back throughout all the years and realize that Alfred Hitchcock and Stanley Kubrick never won an Oscar.
Well, and I guess to some degree, if it was obvious and predictable, then why would you watch? Right?
Exactly. We're leading into that thing.
We'll get there, Paul. We'll get there.
For actress, though, this was a year where I thought, normally it was always the men. I thought there was 5 nomination slots, and I always thought there was usually 10 great performances every year.
Yeah.
This time it's almost the women for the last few years. I can think of 3 women who were really kind of snubbed this year. Annette Bening, snubbed as always. Amy Adams for Arrival.
Mm-hmm.
And have you seen the movie Christine yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, Rebecca Hall stars in that, and I think she gave the performance of the year, male or female, for me. And she didn't even get nominated, so...
Wow.
Yeah.
In terms of the first award of the evening, which is always one of the supporting actor awards, as we talked about, Mahershala Ali won, and my buddy Nigel texted me almost immediately and said... it's the Academy making up for last year.
That's what I thought too. That's what I thought too.
And I texted back and said, maybe I'm not as cynical about that sort of thing as you, Nigel, because I don't know.
But you could have said that right from the nominations themselves, right?
Yeah,
Before
yeah,
any
that's
awards
true.
were given out, with Hidden Figures and Fences and Moonlight. They're definitely making up for last year.
It seems so. And
this might be the one time where...
But there's no
this
way
year,
it wasn't
I think,
on their mind.
Absolutely. This
when they
year,
got
I'm
to
sure
the
it was.
supporting actress nomination, and, they had those montages of the previous award evenings, and I think they had 8 clips, and 4 were African Americans and 4 were whites. And when you think over the history of the award, it's not a 50-50 mix of who won. So yeah, I'd say the Academy was trying to send a bit of a response to its criticism from last year for sure.
But I don't really know if they had that much to apologize for. Really, I think last year was an anomaly.
As long as it's
Oscars.
on merit, I don't have a problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I really don't think that last year, it's not like there was some agreement where we're not going to nominate black films this year.
No, I don't think there was any sort of agreement like that.
Yeah, it just happened. And I think there's definitely making up for it this year. And from what I hear about Moonlight, deserving to be there, right? I think all of these films are worthy. Maybe Hidden Figures is the one that's getting, it's a feel-good movie.
That's what I've heard about Hidden Figures. It's kind of a bit of a fluffy, feel-good movie.
But that's why they have 9 nominated movies too.
Yeah, that's
Which to me just seems like too much. I don't know. I guess if you look at it from the perspective of trying to promote movies, then that gives it puts it in front of the public's eyes a little bit more.
Well, what it's good for is movies like Arrival or District 9, which being science fiction, even though they're very serious movies and they take their subject matter seriously and they have a lot to say, they're often dismissed because, it's science fiction.
Mm-hmm.
And this allows for a recognition of movies that should be recognized.
For sure.
As good as those are.
They're not going to win, but, this was a great movie. You should see it.
More than likely, yeah.
Brings attention to it.
Yeah. I guess in some regards, I can be a little slow to change. I'm that way with sporting events, too. When they change rules, it's like, but it was fine the way it was.
I think if you want to look at what is to be considered the 5 best films from the year from the Academy, then you look at Best Director. Because that's not 9, right? That's still 5.
True.
Yeah,
right?
I think that's a very good way
when you look at it. You could probably say the 4 movies that aren't nominated for Best Director are the ones that probably wouldn't make the cut.
No, that's a good way to look at it. I hadn't really thought of that.
I don't know how many movies you have to nominate before the best movie of the year, Captain America Civil War, gets nominated. How many?
It's okay. Arrival was nominated.
It was one of the best reviewed movies of the year. It's still the biggest hit of the year globally. That's all I'll say.
Yeah, we're still a long way from the Academy accepting superhero movies into Best Picture nomination ranks, though. I agree with you. It's probably tops my list of the best movies of the year so far, just for sheer entertainment value packed in per minute of viewing time. You can't top it yet. Yeah, although I haven't watched Arrival for a second time yet.
But we've also seen enough bad comic book movies to know how hard it is to make a great comic book movie.
Yeah, exactly.
So if you're considering what Hollywood is producing, which is like 50% of the content is this superhero stuff.
And they're dismissive to it.
At least reward the best one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Even if it's special effects or sound editing or...
No, Best Picture.
Yeah, no.
Well, and fair enough.
Superhero movies will get that kind of a nomination. They'll get the technical awards.
Kind of like a Star Wars will always get.
Exactly.
Sure, Rogue One should have been nominated too.
Yeah.
In my opinion. These movies are not easy to make. These global billion-dollar crowd pleasers. I know that people think that you can throw all the money, advertising money in the world at these movies and make them popular. You can't. Batman versus Superman is a great example of that.
If Ivan was here with us tonight, he would argue in favor of that being nominated.
Right,
for
he should have said that should be nominated.
Yeah, it would be great to see something like Civil War in the mix, but yeah, I don't...
Nah, no, I'm still dreaming.
You'd put Civil War over Rogue One.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I would for sure.
Because deep down, I'm more of a Marvel comic book fan than a Star Wars fan.
And I'm more of a Star Wars fan.
It's
I
where
feel guilty.
We're so completely biased towards these films, right?
In my head, Arrival is the best movie I've seen all year. But I want to bump Rogue One over it. Or I want to bump Civil War over it. But my head says, no, you're an idiot. But
be courageous.
Yeah, and
stand with your heart.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot of times heart over intellect has to win out. And, sure, my favorite movie of 1990 might be Goodfellas, but last year, pound for pound, Civil War, man.
I know, and the way that I talk
Just
about these
sheer
movies, I'm sure people think that every year I have a comic book movie as my number one movie of the year. No.
by
Many
no
years
means.
it's Zodiac, Synecdoche, New York. These are movies that make my number one in other years. But I'm a huge comic book fan, and I cannot look at these movies objectively. I can't. I've seen Civil War. I think I watched it 3 days ago, and I could watch it again next week. I love it, and it's for me great art and stuff that just makes you feel like a kid again. I'll put that on the same shelf.
Depending on
I can watch Ingmar Bergman and get my soul lifted or depressed in whatever film he wants me to, or I can watch one of these movies and feel like a kid again. That to me is a magical experience. Either way.
And it's not like it's without its art, too.
Oh, right. Absolutely. I'm not saying that this applies to every comic book movie. There are lots of shit comic book movies out there. Marvel properties, too. This is really about the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what they're setting up so far. To me, they haven't made a bad movie yet. It's almost like what Marvel's doing. They're doing it just for me. It's almost like Lord of the Rings. Like Peter Jackson read my brain and said, this is the movie that, this guy wants. And it's the same with these Marvel movies. I mean, as a longtime Marvel zombie, they were doing exactly what I want them to do. Yeah.
Oh, and I totally agree with you, right? It's the same thing. If you were, like, growing up, my friends and I always had our top 10 list of favorite movies, and Jurassic Park was my number one movie forever. And there was a whole bunch of other rules. I'm not saying Jurassic Park's better than Star Wars or any of that, but you're going with the movie you love the most. You're not saying it's the best crafted movie or it's the most important movie. That's just the one. But
every movie is objective.
Yep.
No matter how great of art it is, right? Yeah.
And that's what makes it art.
Yeah. And I think Jurassic Park has really become a touchstone film for a lot of people. I mean, I
still love it.
When it came out, it was not critically hailed.
No, I remember it being at that time people compared it to Jaws. Exactly. Right. And Jaws it isn't. And then when you look up the Jurassic Park films on Rotten Tomatoes now, the first one from 93 has incredible marks. And that's because now people are comparing subsequent movie thrillers like that to Jurassic Park, the way Jurassic Park was compared back to Jaws. And you look at a film like Jurassic Park, which, yeah, I agree, still does not hold up to Jaws, but then you look at an element like the T-Rex attack, and that is such a masterful 5 or 6 minutes of filmmaking. I don't know if anyone can deliver a thrilling action-packed sequence like Steven Spielberg can and did in that scene. That's one of the great, exciting action scenes in the entirety of cinema history. Right there.
Terrified and excited all at the same time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that movie completely holds up.
Oh, yeah.
What's your favorite movie from your childhood?
However, it came out the same year as Schindler's List, so Spielberg kind of topped himself that year in my books.
Right, and like I'm saying, it's easy. You can love both of those movies, and one of them could be number one on your list, and one could be the second one.
And they can change places given on the day of the week and
absolutely
how you're feeling on that particular day.
You got it. Were you talking about the Academy Awards? For Best Supporting Actress, I guess Viola Davis was one of the real locks to win. I think everybody knew she was going to win for Fences. The more I see from that film, I really want to see it.
Yeah, I'm really excited to see that.
I don't know anything about the play, but it sounds great.
And another great acceptance speech. Very heartfelt, very moving.
Yeah.
She got kind of weird when she's talking about graveyards and all the great artists are in the graveyards.
A touch morbid, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, when you want to talk about potential, it's all in the graveyard.
Yeah. Is that it?
Yeah.
What the hell is she talking
People
about?
Tell the stories of all the dead people. Well, it's okay.
I know you haven't seen Manchester by the Sea yet, but I was really happy Kenneth Lonergan won for Best Original Screenplay. Once you see it, they'll be teaching this screenplay in film schools, I'm sure. It's fantastic. Just a masterclass in screenwriting. This guy's only done 3 films. His first one was You Can Count on Me. You seen that one with Mark Ruffalo and Laura Linney? It's fantastic. I'll lend it to you. And then he did a second film called Margaret, which he had legal problems with. And the film was kind of in hiatus for like 8 years. So it kind of took him out of the scene for a long time. So this is kind of a triumphant return for him. And I can't wait to talk about this movie. Do you want to see it?
Oh, yeah.
Interested in it? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. I hadn't even heard of it until a couple months ago. And then with all the Oscar hype, other shows that I listened to were talking about it. And it sounds great.
It'll be on my top 10 for the year. Darren, did you want to talk about Best Composer? What did you think of that?
Based on the year La La Land is having, it was a lock. And part of that is, if I can digress, I think most Academy members, like most cinema goers, simply associate Best Score with Best Song. And as soon as you have a musical nominated for Best Score, they think, oh yeah, I really like the songs in that. A lot of great music. And their nomination is a lock. Their vote is a lock for that one. I'm not going to say it didn't totally deserve to win. There's that sort of waltz-like piece that they play throughout the night when it was winning awards is a very memorable piece of music, and it has a good score. I wasn't really invested in any of the score nominees this year. Some of my favorite scores were not nominated. The BFG, Giacchino had a couple of really good scores with Rogue One and Doctor Strange. Desplat, who won a couple years ago for his great score for Grand Budapest Hotel, which is an example of the Academy giving the award where it was deserved. He had a couple of solid scores this year for movies like Suffragette and I think The Light Between Oceans. Did that come out in 2016?
Yeah.
A couple of really good scores there, but he's always a spectacularly reliable composer.
Who won last night?
Is it Justin Hurwitz?
Yes, I believe so.
That sounds familiar. He's a composer I was completely unfamiliar with until La La Land came out.
Oh, really? Okay.
Don't know a thing about him aside from La La Land. Some of the other nominees, what I heard last night, the scores to Lion and Moonlight both sounded pretty good. Look forward to seeing those. I've heard a lot of good stuff about Michael Levy's score to Jackie, and he's another composer I've only heard of one or two times before, but that score has gotten a lot of great reviews. I was kind of surprised Thomas Newman was nominated for Passengers. He's another very reliable composer. His Shawshank Redemption is, amongst non-film score fans, one of the most recognized scores of the 90s. People love it, and deservedly so. It's very good. Of course, he comes from the great Newman family of musicians. Just because Passengers was such a dismissed film, I didn't think he'd get recognized for it, and there must be some merit to the score for the nomination to have hit.
Okay, I got a question for you, Mr. Music Man. Of course, for Academy members, they send out screeners of films for people to watch. Do they send out screeners of scores?
Yeah. There's definitely for your consideration CDs for scores all year long for potential nominees. And
right, so you would think people in that category, they'd be listening to the score as opposed to watching the film?
You would hope. But
then again, I always think it's how well the score incorporates itself into the film is how successful it is.
Depends.
I know that.
Are you nominating it as purely music or as it enhances or it plays a part in the film? Who were the names? Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross. Who won for
Social
Network. Their score to that movie was fantastic within the movie. I would never consider listening to it apart from the film.
That's what I mean, right?
Almost just sound design, but it worked so well within the film.
But you wouldn't dismiss that award for that reason, right?
I might, because you know what? They come from the realm of pop music, and a lot of mainstream critics, if you want to call Nine Inch Nails pop music, but mainstream critics tend to perk up and notice when an important rock musician writes a film score, much more so than they will to just a great score by someone whose career is film music. So,
like when Daft Punk did their Tron Legacy.
Exactly. There won't be a review of Tron Legacy that doesn't mention the score, but I imagine, as well known as John Williams is, half the reviews of BFG didn't mention the score.
Right.
So
But from where I'm coming from, I think if you gave a movie like The Social Network a traditional score, it might have killed the film. It wouldn't.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine a traditional score working in that movie.
Right.
They wrote what was appropriate for the film, and
so if you're looking at it just as basically the award for the film, it was deserved. But if you're looking at it strictly as music by itself,
if you're looking at it as pure music, maybe not so much. So I guess it depends on your take. I'm not going to take a stance either way on that one. But
see, to me, that's kind of the same way I love the music in Arrival so much.
Yeah,
because you would never want to listen to most of that on its own, right? But it works so well, integral to the film.
I agree. Yeah. Which was not.
It was ineligible.
It was ineligible for contention because the kind of choral piece that opens and closes the movie is not original. It was written, I don't know how long before, but by the composer Max Reich, not the composer of the film. And I guess those are simply the Academy rules. If there's
those stringent Academy rules,
if there's significant music in there, that
he won the Golden Globe for the same movie.
Yeah, well,
so different rules apply.
Exactly. Golden Globes do what they want, I guess. But,
for sure.
Yeah, just to clarify for the audience, if there's significant music in the film, not original to the film, but will quite possibly confuse the audience members into thinking it is original to the film, it won't be in contention. It will be ineligible. And that's a case in point.
And back to last night, too. He must be one of the youngest composers to win. The kid looked really young.
He looks as young as the director of the film.
For sure, right.
Yeah.
He's the youngest director to win. So if they're friends, I would assume
he might
the
be
composer is probably about 30,
composers,
32, the same age as Damien Chazelle. Interesting. And should we get into that for Best Director? Not an upset by any means, but definitely the youngest man to ever win Best Director. He's only directed 2 films. This could be quite a career in the making.
Yeah, when you look at it that way too, and the way we've been kind of cynically analyzing the awards over the course of the night, and when you say Scorsese didn't win an Oscar until, he was in his 60s, and this guy's winning at 32. I mean, what he achieved in this film is pretty great. It's a technical marvel,
sure,
if nothing else, but
it's really showing you the changing demographics of the Academy membership, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
And do you ever think that maybe and I guess this is a little bit more of the conspiracy theorist in me, but do you think maybe they get a younger director or kind of fresh blood in there to kind of generate interest from the younger generation to keep people interested in the Academy Awards?
In this case, I would say no, just because how many people pay attention to anything other than the actors? That's what most audience members see and visualize and associate with what they like about movies. But in that sense, I'd say you're right in that I think maybe actors like Emma Stone and Casey Affleck getting nominations, not to take anything away from their performances, which were great, but I do think the Academy might want to showcase those younger performers and younger audiences more interested in the award ceremony.
Which, unfortunately, isn't working because the ratings are in from last night, and it's one of the lowest seen Oscar telecasts in recent years.
Mm-hmm.
So I think the audience for the show is dwindling as the years go by.
What do you think?
I don't know what the Oscars.
I don't. It, though?
With the days of multimedia and stuff,
they'll watch the Twitter hits.
They might not necessarily. It's not necessarily that they're not paying attention to the Oscars anymore.
They
might still be
consuming it in a different way.
Exactly. Yeah, and it also helps when you have a spectacular movie like Return of the King to suck up a lot of awards, and a big blockbuster that people are invested in. Was there one like that last night? I guess La La Land comes the closest, but it's not like that.
It wasn't the sweep that they thought it might be, though.
And it's not a Lord of the Rings level hit as far as cinema going goes.
Mm-mm. Then again, the Oscar show where Lord of the Rings won, and I think it was 12 out of 12 wins.
Or like
or 11 out of 12.
It
won almost everything but some of the acting awards.
Yeah.
That can be a pretty boring night, too.
That's true, too, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's nice to have a little variety.
But when you have big fans of the movie, they're pulling for it to win everything, and then you might get an audience for the awards.
No one was a bigger fan of the movie than me, but I was still getting bored. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
One thing we didn't talk about was Best Animated Film. I was not happy with the winner of this award, but I'm not a big fan of Zootopia.
I wasn't surprised, especially with everything going on in the States right now, and I can totally see why there would be a push for this movie. I enjoyed the movie. Like I've said on past podcasts, I think I liked it a lot because I didn't really expect too much from it. Artistically, I think a movie like Kubo and the Two Strings beats it hands down. I enjoyed Moana much more, but the main message in Zootopia, the fact that it won, and it's talking about inclusion and it's talking about accepting people for who they are, and that's very much not what is happening stateside these days.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see the political push for that. It wasn't my favorite animated movie of the year.
I didn't think it was the artistic achievement that a lot of people are saying. I thought it was.
I didn't either.
The trouble is, you see,
it was very well done, generic entertainment.
Yeah, you see clips from My Life as a Zucchini and The Red Turtle.
The Red Turtle, that's silent.
Those two look spectacular just based on the footage, but most people in Hollywood are never going to see those films, just as they don't get big distribution, and us as viewers don't really see them. But chances are one of those is way better than Zootopia, just based on the visual art of them. Mm-hmm. And I really look forward to seeing both of those someday, and I look forward to the day when a movie like that can win Best Animated Feature.
There's a lot of years where great hidden gems in animation just come up against the wrong competition. And yes, this is something that's from a bigger studio, but something like How to Train Your Dragon, it comes up against the Disney machine every year. And as much as I love that movie, it's hard to beat Disney. Like Disney's
a powerhouse.
Disney, I forget what the stat is. Disney's won 10 out of the last 11 Best Animated Features.
Right.
Like it's
or counting Pixar, right?
True. But I look at something like Secret of the Kells.
Or Persepolis.
Yeah.
Was that nominated?
I think it was nominated, if I recall.
But something that kind of goes against the grain and isn't just the same as every other animated movie you see. It gets nominated, which is great that it raises the perception for movies like that, but it's unfortunate that, like, you look at a movie like Song of the Sea, well, it's from the same studio that did Secret of the Kells, and I love them both, but they come up against DreamWorks and Pixar and Disney every year.
Right. And they have not just one big movie a year, but they have several that you're fighting.
They're a machine. They're a machine. And it's tough to go against that. How long has the category been in existence for?
It was in the late 90s.
Yeah.
Okay, it was after Triplets of Belleville, right? That didn't get a chance to be nominated, if I recall correctly.
It was nominated for song.
It was nominated for song, which
Beauty and the
deserved
Beast
to be
was
for
up
sure.
for Best Picture.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, the best animated category came in a few years after Toy Story because they had given Toy Story a special award that year just for its achievement. And then the floodgates broke and they had to start nominating. There were so many of these films. I think it was about 98, 99.
Okay, sounds about right then.
Yeah.
But I look at it kind of like what I've said before in the podcast earlier tonight, like just as far as exposure, like just reading the titles of some of these movies, like the animated ones, like The Red Turtle. Yeah, I really want to see that now, or My Life as a Zucchini. Just seeing that artistic style, I will always gravitate towards that kind of stuff more than your
just family-friendly Disney entertainment.
And there's
that other one
wrong
called Tower. It's done in rotoscope. It recreates the events of the high tower shooting in Texas.
Oh, really?
Right, I've heard about that, yeah.
It's supposed to be really good. So there's lots of interesting things in animation last year. You're right. It's just maybe too many. But it's nice to see like The Red Turtle to get nominated and Trolls not to, even though like Trolls even got a best song. But the chances of a win are slim.
Like you said, they're getting put forth. And I'm sure they don't expect to win either. They're just happy to be get that exposure. Because I'm an animation buff and some of these, it's hard to hear about some of this stuff because they are so buried and hard to find. Not a surprising win, but yeah, it certainly wasn't the movie I was rooting for.
Right. And what won Best Picture again? I can't remember.
Emma Stone won, didn't she?
Yeah. Okay, right away. Did you think something was going on with how Warren Beatty?
No, I thought he was being funny.
I did too.
He's known for having this deliberate pause when he speaks, right? He's kind of famous for that.
Yeah.
He can take 20 minutes to, order a sandwich.
Well, and his co-presenter even said, like,
Faye
Dunaway was trying to egg him on, like, oh, you're such a tease or whatever. Like, I can't remember what her exact line was, but she too thought he was milking the moment.
Yeah, and I went back and, as I'm sure both you guys did too, and rewatched it as soon as the show ended. Like, okay, well, let's go back and check out that moment. And he's clearly befuddled, and he's clearly trying to work his way through what he's recognized as some huge technical error.
And he fell on the sword, too, because he took claim for the announcement, but he didn't.
No, and he doesn't deserve it at all.
No, he doesn't deserve...
Even Faye Dunaway doesn't deserve it.
He could have played it differently, but he doesn't deserve...
When you're in that moment, how are you going to react?
That's what I mean, right? Sure.
Yeah, he could have said...
He could have stopped the show.
Jimmy, I think maybe we need to talk to someone. But instead, the most immediate person there was Faye Dunaway, and she didn't know what was going on, and he showed her as in, what the fuck?
Right.
And she just saw La La Land and blurted it out. And she can't be blamed for reading that quickly either.
I blame Steve Harvey.
Right, yeah.
As many do.
Yeah, do you think he was showing her the envelope for her to read it?
No.
Or for her
to read it to herself. Hey, like this, look at this. Like, I don't know what to do.
But it plays like you've seen so many times where it's like, I'll read and the winner is, and then they hold it to the side and have the co-presenter read the winner.
Exactly. That's how it looked on initial viewing, for sure. That's how it played, but they can't be blamed.
This is what I think was going through Warren's head. He's a smart guy, right? Warren Beatty is one of the smartest guys in Hollywood. I think as soon as he saw the envelope, he knew, something's gone wrong, really wrong. I have two choices. I can stop the show, happening here, or
create a moment.
La La Land is the heavy favorite. It just won Best Director. Pictures usually win Director and Best Picture, right?
Yeah.
I think he said, I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to read La La Land, cross my fingers that it's won the Best Picture. Because if it did win Best Picture, we wouldn't be hearing about this.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
It's true.
It's only the fact it was this huge upset that he got fucked over.
Yeah, so you thought he just assumed
I think he's a smart guy.
On the card.
And in his head, he was thinking, how can I calculate this in a second? I have two choices. Stop the show or go with the favorite Best Picture winner and roll the dice.
Probably they meant Best Picture, La La Land, and misprinted the card, something like that. That's what you're thinking. His take.
I think he got the wrong card,
and just took the gamble that the winner was going to be La La Land.
That's a possibility.
That's a good point.
And like I said, if it had been La La Land, nobody would have known that a mistake had occurred.
And even if that is what he did, I don't think he can be blamed for it, because what do you do in that situation? What would anybody do?
Well, and I think it creates a lasting moment. Like,
for sure.
This will be,
if anything, it'll
forever.
be increase next year.
Yeah, a slightly better than average Oscar ceremony that became holy shit because of that moment.
I had to call my wife back in because she had watched the ceremonies with me, and she had gone to the kitchen to kind of wind down, get ready for bed. And I was like, get back in here. They read the wrong title.
You can see the commotion behind them with the stagehands and stuff, and the cards are passing. You and Megan were thinking, well, wait till it's done. Like, they'll get the envelope eventually. Give them the commemorative card, and then, well, there was a reason for it.
And it even took me a second once, because that gentleman, and I'm not sure what his name was in the middle of a bit of a speech, and he's like, oh, and by the way, we didn't win. What do you mean you didn't win? You're like, Moonlight won Best Picture. This is not a joke.
It was a surreal moment when that came out of his mouth.
And it took me a second or two to process what was going on. Like, what? And of course, there's all the people that are saying, oh, well, they're just trying to create a memorable moment.
No.
I don't think you do that.
No. Never seen anything like
this.
The
accounting firm is not going to be part of some conspiracy to create a memorable moment.
No. I knew something. Kelly was asking, well, maybe they read the wrong title on the card, right? She thought maybe it was like the 5 choices were on there and one was highlighted. Yeah. But I knew that was not the way it was, because ever since the Marissa Tomei controversy, right, where Jack Palance supposedly blurted the wrong name out and she hadn't won, and the Academy was like, no. There's only one name on the card, and he read the right name. Yeah. That's not how we do it.
You don't want to introduce the possibility of that error.
So I knew that wasn't it. Yeah, you'll never see anything like that ever happen again. And someone's going to get fired.
Yep. More than likely.
Those are the only 2 people in the building that have the envelopes, that are allowed access to the envelopes for the entire night. So you know exactly who screwed up. It's only the 2 people from Price Waterhouse.
Yeah.
1 person from Price Waterhouse now. And it's funny. Have you seen the tape with those 2 people?
No.
There's a tape from 2 days before that with them talking about the Oscars and what their job is, and what if something were to go wrong. And they were saying, well, nothing has ever happened, and we can't imagine that anything would ever happen, and all the contingencies. And it's pretty funny.
Well, it's even like on our Facebook feed, I posted, are you ready for the Oscars? I mean, La La Land is the heavy favorite unless there's a surprise. And one of our listeners posted right after, oh, there was a surprise.
Yeah, there sure was. Yeah, and hopefully a nice surprise. I'm really looking forward to Moonlight. And from what I hear, it's supposed to be fantastic.
The way it picked up those awards last night, I'm really anxious to see it.
It won the Independent Spirit Awards the day before. And it was the movie on, I think, more top 10 lists, or more placed number 1 on more top 10 lists than any other movie last year.
I wasn't that surprised that it won. I said to Melanie, my wife, right before they announced Best Picture, I said, well, La La Land's the odds-on favorite, but I just have a feeling that if another movie was to come in and win, just the way the whole night had gone, I thought it could be Moonlight.
And that's the thing about the 9 nominees now, 9 to 10 nominees for Best Picture these past few years, is it can really split up the vote in an unexpected way and lead to these upsets.
It's true.
For sure. I don't think there was an upset like this since maybe Crash one.
Yeah.
Brokeback.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of one.
Did you hear what Billy Crystal tweeted after the whole Best Picture debacle? He said if only something like this happened on election night.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? If life only worked that way.
Yep.
So, do we have any final thoughts about the show? All in all, I thought it was a good Oscar year. I was pretty entertained throughout the entire show. I think, I can't remember who hosted last year.
Was it Chris Rock last year?
Chris Rock last year, and Seth MacFarlane the one before.
Billy Crystal hosted fairly recently.
He was the one after the James Franco and Hathaway disaster,
which was the Academy really reaching to get some younger viewers.
Yeah. So for me, this is easily probably was the most entertaining Oscar show in maybe 5 or 6 years.
It was up there for sure. Yeah, I really enjoyed Jimmy Kimmel's host, and I'd look forward to him again.
I wasn't bored at all. I was very invested in it, and my wife was too. And I thought she doesn't have the same vested interest that I do, so I thought she might get bored partway through. But no, her attention was on the show the whole way through too, which I think speaks volumes to the production that they put forth. So
yeah, I would assume that they'll keep the same producing team. I would like just almost a repeat of everything that I thought they did everything right. Like I said, the montages. And I like the duos that they brought out. I kind of like the old school stuff when they, pay tribute to people,
to the legends,
with Shirley MacLaine.
The people that got you there.
And Michael J. Fox.
Yeah.
And who was the third one? Oh, Meryl Streep with Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's always nice. I used to like it when they had the honorary segments part of the show for the people who were winning the honorary awards, like Jackie Chan won.
Yeah.
That used to be a big part of the show for me. They used to bring out people like Akira Kurosawa, Federico Fellini and give awards to these giants. And to me, that was like a highlight of the show.
It's a trade-off.
And now it's been completely dismissed.
So now they can make the show a little bit faster and give, like 4 people got the honorary award last night, whereas some years in the past, they wouldn't even give one out. So now more people are getting it. It's just that we don't get to see kind of those glorious moments.
I don't know how many.
Except in an edited sequence from him. Well, last week we did this.
Yeah. I don't know how many real giants there are to be honoring anymore anyways, but.
Yeah, I mean, not... you mentioned, Fellini and Kurosawa. There's 2 giants who would have never won a Best Directing Oscar anyway, so giving them an honory award was huge.
For a year, they were just Satyajit Ray got one, and Michelangelo Antonioni. Yeah, some of these huge talents.
And now,
we don't have that today.
I mean, foreign directors like that, like say Inarritu or so on, are being nominated for and winning director awards these days.
They're working in Hollywood.
Yeah.
Yeah, so all in all, entertaining show for me.
Thoroughly entertained, and I didn't find that there were really any lulls in the performance last night. It kept my interest. And
yeah, like I said, the few of the songs didn't work for me, but other than that, all the other bits were really good.
Yeah, year after year.
Even some of the speeches, people are almost getting the hang. I don't think anybody was played off. Hardly anybody. Right, but hardly anybody else. I think people are really kind of getting their shit together finally. And
they know not to push it.
You get 3 people on stage and everybody knows their part. They're not making it up on stage at the moment.
And it didn't seem grossly over time. You got to know what you're doing.
That's what I think it did run about a half an hour.
It was about 45 minutes or so because, like I said to you guys, I was recording it and watching it about an hour behind everyone else because I had to wait till I put the kid to bed. But I had to record The Big Bang Theory afterwards and then another hour-long show after that. And we were about 10 or 15 minutes into the second show after the Oscars. And I was still watching the awards. So it ran about 45 minutes long.
You don't want to miss the last 10 minutes, that's for sure.
No, not last night.
Imagine it cutting out as La La Land is starting their speeches, right?
Or you just hit,
I guess
I'd be the chump of the water cooler in the morning then.
Right, for sure, right?
Or you just hit stop. Like, they won. Yeah, that's what I figured. Done.
Right, boring.
Yeah.
And probably a lot of people did.
I'm sure.
Pretty funny. No, it didn't. La La Land won. I'm not crazy. Yeah, so an entertaining show all in all. And I hope Jimmy Kimmel's brought back. The only negative part of that is the one thing that I look forward to every year after the Oscars was Jimmy Kimmel's post-Oscar show. He always did a really good job with that. So that's the one thing that we'll lose. But as a host, he's well worth it.
They can bring him back or Seth MacFarlane or Chris Rock and I'll be happy.
No, I didn't think any of
You didn't think they were as good as
I don't think
Jimmy
Chris
Kimmel?
Rock or Seth were comfortable on stage, not especially Seth MacFarlane. I think he was
maybe not as comfortable, but as funny.
No,
I disagree there. I think comedy-wise, they were both better than Jimmy Kimmel. Maybe not as comfortable on stage, though.
Maybe they're comedy for certain things, but I just think with the Academy Awards and what they want from that telecast, I think Jimmy Kimmel's a perfect host. I think he's a great fit. I'd like to see him host for a few years.
Oh, for sure. I'd see him again.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, we'll call it quits for another week. Next time we'll be back to discuss the new film, Logan. Until then, please subscribe to us on iTunes and our YouTube channel, and you can also follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Feel free to leave us a comment or contact us at whyweseemovies@hotmail.com. Until then, we'll see you later. Ciao.
So long.
Sayonara.